What's up, you Dynasty Dirtwads? It's your boy Jordan, coming to you from the Garage of Despair to explain and try to make this Dynasty explained easy, okay? I promise you what I typed up is not that hard to read through. It's actually pretty interesting as far as all the different scoring changes and everything that's going to be going on. It's worth a read through, but I will explain it to you in this way. This is the order of how things are going to go and how everything works out, all right? First up, July to August-ish, we are going to have an auction draft for a one-year league. Okay, this 1 year is going to be a pretty standard superflex, 10 starters, one quarterback, two running backs, three wideouts, a tight end, a superflex, which can be a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and then two regular flex. All right. Auction allows everybody the chance at anybody. Everybody wants CMC or everybody wants Patrick Mahomes, but not everybody can get them because in typical drafts, it's decided by the order that's randomly generated, which is fun, but this is the 1 year league where you get to earn your draft spot in this Dynasty startup. Okay, so there's gamesmanship and strategy in that. The first person up gets to nominate whoever they want. If they want to go after their guy, let's say they want CMC, they can do it and dare other people to outbid them. If they know there's somebody they definitely don't want on their team, maybe they throw that person out there to see either if they get them cheap or eat into other people's budgets. Or maybe they nominate a flyer, somebody that would be a late round pick in normal drafts, but just to see if they can get them cheap or make someone else overpay for them. Okay, there's strategy and gamesmanship. Everybody has a chance to build the team the way they want, as long as they budget and research accordingly. All right. Now, the scoring that will happen this year will be the same as the scoring in the Dynasty League. All right. Basically, it's best ball, meaning the best scores that could possibly happen will go for you. So if somebody gets hurt in the first quarter and they end up getting outscored by one of your bench players, doesn't matter. Best ball means best score applies. Easy enough. All right. Trades and waivers will be normal, except for the fact that there's going to be fab bidding. That means you'll have a $100 budget and you can bid on free agents. What this does is it prevents people from being the first to hear news to first to pick up while other people are at work slaving away, possibly. Makes it a little bit even. Also, there's tiered PPR. The longer the reception, the better the points. So one catch for 0 yards doesn't get you a point. You still get a little bit of a point for a quarter point for a first down to tack on top. So if you catch one pass for 1 yard and it happens to be a first down, cool, you get 0.25 points. At least you did something good. All right. All those details can be seen online. There's also what's called the 2-win system or playing against the league median. So each week you will not just go 1-0 or 0-1. You can go 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2. You have your head-to-head, which will be 1-0 or 0-1. And then you also get a win or a loss based on if you're in the top half scoring or the bottom half scoring for that week. So if the average score or the median score is really the best way to put it is 100 points and you score 102 and you also win your game against the other person, you go 2-0. If the median score is 100 and you win your head-to-head game, but you score 97 points, you'll go 1-1. All right? It evens it out, so that way the teams that are getting lucky by playing the low-scoring teams, even though they're not high-scoring themselves, and it also evens out the teams that are unlucky who score high but just happen to play another team that scores higher than them that week. All right? But all in all, this whole year will go by as almost a typical redraft type of league. It's just a 1 year thing. Whoever places first wins the Super Bowl at the end, gets to pick wherever they want to draft in the Dynasty startup. Second place gets to pick the second draft slot. So if the first place wants the first overall pick, the second place person can pick the 10th pick, the last pick, or in the middle, and so forth until you get to the end. Now the Dynasty startup is going to be a long fucking draft. 36 rounds. Dynasty ball is where it gets different. When you draft your team, and this will be a snake draft with a 3rd round reversal, exactly what it sounds like. You go through the first 2 rounds as normal. At the end of the 2nd round, the 10th pick what was the 10th pick in the first round is now the first pick in the third round, and then it'll snake as normal from there. Evens it out a little bit, doesn't give the first overall pick a huge advantage like it does in a regular snake draft. But we will go through and draft everybody in 36 rounds, and that is your fucking team. If you do nothing, if you don't trade, you don't pick up anybody, you will have that same team the very next year. So it is very important to manage your team and make sure that you make trades. If you are sucking during the course of the year, your year is not going the way you wanted, you might want to trade. Now that trade doesn't mean you just trade for players, you can trade for picks, because after the first year of the Dynasty League, there will be rookie drafts from there on out. The rookie drafts will only be 4 rounds, and it will not be a snake draft. The worst team gets the first pick of the first round, and second round, and third round, and fourth round. The Super Bowl winner gets the last pick of each of those rounds, just like the real NFL. Now you can trade picks. So if during the course of the year or after the year, the only time you cannot trade is during the playoffs, if your team is doing bad, maybe you trade one of your better players, maybe that's getting a little older because youth is more important in Dynasty, for a first round pick to better replenish or boost your squad. If you are on the cusp and trying to make that push toward the Super Bowl, maybe you trade a pick for a better player to better push for that Super Bowl that year. So you have to make management decisions. It's just like franchise mode in Madden versus doing the superstar mode, where you're only player focused. All right? So that's basically Dynasty in a nutshell. Instead of redraft, where you get a new team every single year, it's up to you to build your team, to draft rookies to replenish veterans that have retired or no longer rosterable, to trade players for picks, or trade up if you want, trade multiple picks for other picks. You can trade future picks. There's a lot of different ways that this can go. So, again, this year is the entry league. Auction draft, July to August timeframe. Do your research, do your homework. You'll have a $300 budget to draft whatever team you want. We'll go through the year. First place gets to pick where they draft in the startup league, through 10th place, who gets the last option to pick where they want in the startup league. We then go through and draft 36 rounds. Long fucking draft. That is your team. Throughout the course of the year, again, best ball scoring. You don't have to set a lineup. You don't have to pick the best 12 out of 36 players. The system will do that for you. But you'll go through, and depending on how your year is going, you will decide if you want to trade. If you don't want to, you want to stand pat, make a push. Whatever you want to do is up to you. There won't be a huge focus on waivers. There will be a player or two every now and then that you'll want to put a bid in for, probably. But it's not going to be something as intense as a redraft league where waivers are a huge thing all the time, because most players in the league will be on rosters. Okay? You go through the playoffs as normal. Super Bowl winner gets a trophy, gets money, and then the off season hits. The off season, you'll be wanting to evaluate the incoming rookies. We're already doing that. We're talking about, could Bijan go to the Bucks and things like that? Where's Bryce Young going to go? CJ Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, ones like that. So then once they have the real NFL draft, over the summer, we'll have the 4-round rookie draft. Everybody will draft just rookies to replenish their team. And then we'll do it again. That is your team for that year. And again, you will make decisions based on the makeup of your team and how your team is doing. All right, so it's year over year. There is no real off season, but it's not as intense as normal. Hopefully this dumbs it down for you. This makes it pretty simple. It's a different facet, a different type of way to play. I think it's going to be very interesting and very fun. And at the same time, it won't be so intrusive or so crazy for you to have to figure out how to do things every single week and looking at it all the time. You'll probably be wanting to take a look constantly and get used to the sleeper platform, see if you want to make moves, things like that. That's why we're doing the entry league. This entry league will get everybody on the same platform of getting used to valuing quarterbacks differently with Superflex. It'll also get them, get everybody familiar with sleeper, and it gives everybody the chance to battle and to compete for where they want to pick in the Dynasty Startup Draft, which will be the most important part in starting up your Dynasty squad and going from there. If you have any questions, hit me up, folks. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just a different way and different focus, and you're going to want to do in your research and you're looking at NFL stories and who's going to get drafted. will actually matter a lot more for fantasy, because unlike in redraft leagues where, rookies may not be that important, they're going to be important because you're going to draft into your team, and then in a year or two they might be an important cog, or they might be somebody you trade or something like that. It's a lot like the real NFL. Hit me up if you have any questions. Sam, call me if you need to, of course, but this is not as hard as it seems to be. It's not. I know it's a long email. It's really just to give everybody a point of reference without having to navigate the Sleeper app right away. But ask me questions. Go through that. Read it when you have a chance. Just different things about the scoring and how it all work. I promise it makes sense. I did my research on this, but I'm willing to hear anybody out if you got ideas. All right. Peace, punch, Captain Crunch, folks.